This is an investigation where some $35 million between this and the classified documents case were spent. And it's not even just the special counsel investigation. When you consider that this investigation was preceded by a lengthy investigation in Congress, the January 6th committee, which spent over a year on this and held more than 10 televised hearings, interviewed hundreds of witnesses under oath, including almost all of the president's closest political aides, both in the White House and at his campaign, and established a very thorough record making the case that Donald Trump attempted to use the power of the presidency to overturn a duly certified presidential election, that he tried to undermine the core of American democracy. Now, this is all done. So you might say, Diane, that this case, the January 6th case, never got before a jury. And I'm sure there'll be questions that'll be asked about whether or not this case should have started earlier, so it didn't come up right up against a presidential election. But it never got before a jury. But you could argue that it got before something much larger than a typical jury. 150 million Americans who voted on November 5th and elected Donald Trump president of the United States. That has effectively ended all of this. He ultimately will not be held to account in the criminal court system for his actions to overturn the presidential election of 2020.
So, look, this indictment, this involves the three conspiracies Donald Trump is accused of in an effort to cling to power after the 2020 election. And it marked an extraordinary moment in American history. This is the first ever accusation that a sitting president committed crimes in an effort to cling to power. The dismissal also marks an extraordinary moment. 50 years after Richard Nixon was forced by lawmakers from both parties to resign the presidency amid allegations of criminal conduct, half of American voters discounted equally serious charges of criminal misconduct in office against Donald Trump. They returned Mr. Trump to the presidency. And if the lesson of Watergate was that no one was above the law, the lesson of the Trump era is that a majority of Americans have decided that this principle no longer applies. And what I can tell you, Lester, is that we also expect a filing in the other case, which has been dismissed by the judge, that classified documents case against Mr. Trump, which is on appeal. We expect a filing there, although it's not clear exactly what that filing will say because there are two other defendants in that case. And Jack Smith, the special counsel, is required to file a report to the Attorney General before he leaves office explaining his prosecution decisions. Merrick Garland has a policy of making those reports public, so we can expect to see a public report, Lester. But in this case, we don't expect it to go much beyond the volume of material that is already in the public record about both of these criminal cases.
All right.